All right. Welcome
Back.
to the F1 My Life podcast. We are in a brand new season with new regulations
New
and
drivers.
the works. Yeah, and everything for Formula One. Drivers shifted, regulations changed, a whole bunch of stuff happened.
You might hear me gulping my jaw.
And we just, Priya's having tea. It's so rude to eat or drink anything on a podcast. You didn't know that?
Is it?
That's like podcast rules.
Is it
yeah.
etiquette? Really?
Because you just hear people like munching.
It's ASMR though, you know?
What do you
Some people like that.
like ASMR? ASMR
Yeah.
is like this.
Yeah, no, but some people like the gulping if you do it rhythmically, although I don't know how you do that,
I'm
but
gonna drink. Some people just like rub microphones, like they do this.
or like they like open packages.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like an ASMR too. Okay.
Yeah, ASMR is funny.
Yeah. There's like a whole like YouTube arena devoted to ASMR.
No, I know for sure. I know all about it. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
ASMR. We should do an ASMR thing. You don't even need it's just all you need is a microphone, and you just like
Do random things.
Yeah, that's so.
You could
weird.
do like the sofa.
Yeah.
You know, like you do that.
We live in such a weird world.
It's interesting. It's soothing.
and you know what the funny thing is? There's probably people making like hundreds of thousands of dollars off just doing like
what is it
dumb
called when
things
like
like
you
that.
watch things that are like if somebody's like cutting soap or cutting into clay or something?
Yeah.
You know? Or it's
yeah.
like or cutting a sponge. I find that very satisfying.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. I'm like,
That's not ASMR, is it?
No,
Oh.
that's just like it's just satisfying to watch.
But there must be a name for that. I'll look for it later. It's fine.
There's probably some kind of scientific name.
Yeah.
Hey,
Anyways.
dude, is this an F1 podcast or like a podcast about random viral videos we come across?
We just spent like 5
On the
minutes
interwebs.
doing dumb things.
All right,
Dumb
man.
things. So we're gonna.
You know what? We left off our last podcast being like, we're going to do this podcast and that podcast and talk about this and talk about that and da-da-da. But we didn't end up doing any of it. We didn't talk about the drivers changing. We didn't talk about, because I listened to the last one, and we said we would talk about driver changes. We said we would do a Drive to Survive review. And we also said we would talk about the new regulations of the new car when it came
none
out.
of it.
So,
Should we start with that? Because
I don't
this
even
race
know
was
where
pretty like
I
straightforward.
don't even know where you want to start. I guess we can start with just.
The drivers.
Do you want to start with the drivers?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Where do you want to go? Who do you
Starting
want to
from the
start with?
top. Now we here. Ay. Well,
All right.
first,
Sergio Perez and the world champion Max Verstappen are still with Red Bull.
of course they are. And then we had a change up with Mercedes. Lewis decided to grace us with his presence, and
Yeah, he's sticking around with
George
the
Russell
Mercedes.
came from Williams and kicked out Valtteri to Alfa Romeo. And Alfa Romeo also has Zhao now.
Yeah, they have this new driver from China
Yeah.
who came in. I don't know much about him, admittedly. I haven't really done much research on him. But he's a new guy there. Yeah, Valtteri and Alpha. That's interesting. What else?
We still have Pierre and Yuki.
Everybody
with
else is
Alfa
kind
Romeo.
of playing their positions, right?
Well,
There's-
we got Williams. You know, we got Albon back in Williams.
Yeah, Albon. Yeah, they announced that a little while ago. Actually, what are we talking about? George Russell is in Mercedes.
I said that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And then the biggest news
Whoops.
is Nikita Mazepin was replaced by Nikita Mazepin was replaced by Kevin Magnussen
Yeah.
with the Haas, and Mick Schumacher obviously retained his
Yep.
standing. I don't want to
Yep.
go into why that all happened.
Everybody else is pretty much exactly where they are. So that's where the drivers sit. The new car, man.
The stupid pink is back.
Yeah. On Alpine.
Alpine.
What are they called? Alpine?
Alpine.
I don't know why they just didn't stick to Renault. That's such a nicer, and I low key. I mean, anything is better than pink on a car, but I would have done with the bumblebee look, the black and the yellow.
Yeah.
Black and yellow, black and yellow, black. You know that song?
Yeah, I know. It was really big
Wiz
like 5
Khalifa.
years ago.
Yeah, black
Yeah.
and yellow, black and yellow. I would have done with the black and yellow
That's
instead.
your ASMR.
Yeah, playing with my pop socket.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the new cars that they came up with are, well, let's just talk about some of the new regulations. So there's a spending cap now on how much teams can spend in Formula One, right?
Yep.
That's a big one. And the second thing is like a lot of the car has been redesigned. And from my understanding as well, is that a lot of the parts are just spec parts. So what spec parts mean is that a lot of the parts are like coming from the FIA. Like there isn't much you can change about them. They kind of restrict how much they can change on the car, except for like the side pods and everything, which has been a huge thing that's come up. That's where teams are getting creative and whatnot. But the whole idea is to make the cars, I think, a little more similar and to also reduce the amount of dirty air so there can be closer racing, which I think will really be interesting.
I mean, obviously, in the first like race, we saw
Yeah.
that there was definitely close racing.
Yeah. So the cars are cool, man. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't want to go off on like 30 minutes of just talking about the regulations and the cars. I think we all kind of know the deal.
Remember the thing about Mercedes car
What?
where they were like, they took off that little, what is that rectangular thing called on the side?
They had some dramatic design with their
Yeah.
side pods.
Yeah.
They like completely eliminated them.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
I think that in terms of the regulations, the things that have changed, I think we'll probably address a lot of them as we see them in the races. One thing that I think I didn't realize is during quali, you don't need to actually start the race on the tires that you qualify the
Qualify
fastest
on. Yeah. That's
Thank you,
interesting.
too.
isn't
That
it?
was actually really interesting to me.
That was never the case back in the day.
Back in the day.
Like, I mean, last year.
Yeah.
The previous years.
So that was interesting. We're still obviously seeing like how the FIA and the stewards and everyone are going to address certain issues, like with passing and with penalties and things of that nature. I have a feeling that it's going to be one of those things where, again, we just kind of learn more about the regulations as infringements happen.
So one thing they are implementing is, I think there is like a video review. They do this in many sports. I just know that like for sure that they do this in hockey, that there's like a video review of something that's happened and it goes to another location. I know with hockey, I think it goes all the way to New York. And they review, like there's a room of people who are watching all the games and they like review something that happens and then, so I'm pretty certain they're actually implementing that in Formula One, but I think, yeah, a lot of the decision making with stewards and shit and stuff like that is going to be dealt with a little more comprehensively. So
Yeah.
there's no issues. So hopefully it'll make everything a little better and cleaner. And we won't have as much questions as to why calls were made or, I think people just want consistency, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that's what everybody wants. So
I think after last year and with the new regulations, everyone just wants a little bit of consistency.
yeah, it's frustrating all around, to be honest. No matter who you root for, which team you're on, so yeah. So, yeah.
I think it was like a really interesting first race. I don't think it was what anyone expected. And it's kind of funny, right? Because the whole story that everyone left off with like last season and of course Drive to Survive was Max and Lewis, right?
What do you want to talk about first? Do you want to go in the race or do you want to touch on Drive to Survive a little bit?
So this is my issue with Drive to Survive.
So are we touching on Drive?
Yeah, we can touch on it.
All right, let's do Drive to Survive.
I would say this. I think that Max not being like representing himself in Drive to Survive is really like, it was great. And I think that this season more than any other season, I didn't really like, it wasn't as like off the books as previous ones were.
What do you mean?
Like it wasn't as like, I didn't learn as much more because I feel like I learned a lot about these drivers along the way. I did find some things interesting. I did feel like they stuck to the script a little bit more than they did last time, except when it came to obviously the big thing, which was
They tend to take like crazy amount of liberties, and they did on this one too.
I'll say this, is that I feel like no matter what, you're going to have some controversy with how you interpret like what happened last season, which I think is kind of ridiculous, but that's fine. But I think Max not representing himself definitely did reduce him from sharing his side of the story on a lot of things. But I did learn a lot about like Nikita Mazepin.
Oh yeah,
Which was I mean,
wasn't
like,
that an interesting episode?
that was a really, and I don't like him, and I don't like his father, and I hate to say that, and
You're not a fan?
I'm not a fan, and I wasn't a fan before, but it was really nice to be. It was interesting as to why. They really like kind of bullied around Gunter like quite a bit, you know. I loved watching him do his hike though, Gunter. That was stunning.
Yeah,
He did that super beautiful hike.
There's certain aspects of that show that I like. I like the behind the scenes. I'm not a fan of like how dramatic and how much they kind of lie about certain things, to be totally honest. And I think like I've heard from other drivers. I think Lando Norris talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Where he's like, you know, he didn't appreciate certain narratives going certain ways.
He's been kind of the not the victim, but he's kind of been I guess like the victim of some issues with Drive to Survive, both with like how they've portrayed him with Sainz in the past and how they portrayed him with Ricardo this time too.
Yeah.
You know, he did admit that like there was like, he kind of said like, it's really not up to me to like sympathize for Daniel, like no driver wants like sympathy, and it kind of gotten taken out of context, and then it was like,
yeah,
it just made their the thing is that Formula One has enough drama as it is. It doesn't need the extra drama, but again, yeah, you're right. They took some liberties.
I saw this one meme where it's like, what was it? It was like uncomfortable truths or something, and it was something like, Drive to Survive is to bring people to Formula One, and Formula One races are for like the actual fans of Formula One.
Yeah.
Right? So with that said, it's like, I think you like, if you recognize what the show is designed to do, which is to make it interesting and intriguing and bring people to watch the races, then it does its job. I guess it's not entirely, and it's crazy to say this because it's a docu-series. It's not entirely meant to be like completely accurate.
Factual, yeah.
It's just meant to be entertaining.
Yeah, it is.
Bring eyeballs to the sport, which it's done. So I mean, you know, there's some interesting parts to it, but there's also some parts where they take like crazy amount of liberties.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially with something that was as emotional and hot-headed as the last race of the season, I feel like they owed it to F1 to keep that as untouched as possible, and they kind of, you know, took certain liberties here and there, made certain people look bad, certain people look like they were victims.
Yeah.
In the situation, which, you know, I guess at the end of the show they have creative liberties as to however they want to do things. So, but I think that's a main reason. And you do have to notice, right? Max Verstappen's not the only driver that doesn't do interviews. A lot of people have refused to not be on that show.
Yeah.
He just gets the spotlight because he's like the number 1, 2, whatever, top 5 guys, right?
I thought it was also interesting that you said like they took certain liberties, because I remember when we first watched Drive to Survive, I didn't like Max. And it was, again, because of the way that he was portrayed. We talked about this. I can't remember if we talked about it on the podcast, but like I didn't like Max at all. And it kind of bothered me because I was like, oh my God, once I like started actually watching Formula One, I like really like him. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like I still think that he has a lot of room to grow, and sometimes he can be like a little impatient like any other driver can be, but I really, really like adore him as a driver. And I think he's got a hilarious personality. And so it's just kind of like, that's why I said I just kind of want to take everything Formula One Drive to Survive did with like a grain of salt, because I just don't feel like it was like the most accurate of
I don't even. It's funny you mentioned that because that didn't even click to me until now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I wasn't a Max Verstappen fan after watching.
I thought he was kind of a jerk.
Like watching the first couple seasons. Actually, it wasn't until we actually started like going back and watching races that I kind of changed my perspective. But initially, yeah, I did not like the guy at all. I was not a fan at all. When the show came out, actually, I was a big Daniel Ricciardo fan.
Yeah, same.
I liked him a lot. I thought he was
still love the
awesome.
Honey Badger, but I think my shift has,
Yeah.
like, my favorite drivers are not the same as, like, my favorite, like,
Yeah.
people. So, yeah, that's what I would say about Drive to Survive. But I did like learning about, like, I thought it was just interesting, Nikita Mazepin and his dad and the Haas.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
crazy what Haas has gone through. I hope that their woes are over for the year. I hope that company, or that they do well.
Yeah, I think
They're off to a good start.
I think people who watch F1 hardcore and who are really into the sport really recognize that the TV show is a little fugazi, you know, from the actual racing itself. It's a different story. So, yeah, it was okay. It's fun. I like watching it a lot. I really love the dramatic shots of the drivers getting into the cars.
Yeah. I like it for what it is. The cinematography.
Yeah,
the entertainment.
I can't say that I don't like it. I feel like for what it is, if you recognize it for what it is, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Agreed.
But I mean, if you want it to be 100% accurate into the book and everything, like, watch another show or just watch the races, you know?
I really did also enjoy them going back to, like, how Alonso and Ocon, like, really pushed each other.
Yeah.
That was and then Ocon getting, obviously, his P1. Like, I just enjoyed
Yeah.
the recap because I feel like it's nice. This is the reason I like Drive to Survive is in the off season, right before the new seasons come out. It's just nice to see some of your favorite highlights from the previous season. Like, it's just
Yeah.
really nice to relive it. So I think that's all I would have to say about Drive to Survive.
Sweet.
And then the race.
So first race of the season. And this is where people have been very curious. I mean, I should say their whole race weekend, actually, because, you know, you see winter testing and whatnot, and I think there were some statistics coming out there. One thing we did see were slow Mercedes,
Super slow.
very slow Mercedes, which I think for everybody is a little shocking.
I didn't believe it at first, I'm going to be honest. I really did
yeah.
not believe it. I really kept telling you.
Even the drivers thought it was sandbagging. They thought they
Yeah.
were, quite honestly, bullshitting.
Yeah,
about
I
the pace
did.
of the cars. Yeah, I was shocked. I think a lot of people I talked to, a lot of friends who I know watch F1, they were pretty shocked. Yeah, it was a little shocking, but what we did end up seeing, however, performance-wise, was from the Ferraris.
The Ferraris kicked butt and took names.
So the Ferraris are fast. They're back.
Yeah.
It seems like it.
Ferrari is finally back.
Yeah.
Bonota must be so excited. I don't know which language he wants to say he's excited in, Italian or English or both.
Hey,
But he must
Bonotto,
be so excited.
you can speak perfect English, bro, but you don't want to speak it on Drive to Survive.
I think
You know?
I really do think it's a contractual thing though, love.
Wow.
Yeah. I think there's something about when he's representing.
Is it on brand?
I think it is.
Is it something to
I
be
think
like?
it is.
I don't think you can be contracted to speak certain languages.
Gunter likes to speak German quite a bit.
But he doesn't speak it on the show.
He speaks it all the time with him and Toto.
Yeah, but that's when they're speaking to each other. But not when he's narrating on the show.
I don't know, maybe
Bonotto was straight up talking Italian.
Speaking Italian, not talking.
You know?
Speaking
talk
Italian.
Thai?
You talk Thai?
Jack talk Thai. You know that from Meet
No.
the Parents? You ever see Meet the Parents?
Oh, yes, I have.
Jack talk Thai real good. Jack can't talk Thai. You remember that? It's funny, man.
You remember so many things.
This is so good. Like, why do I... My mom says the same thing. God. She's like, you remember all these things, but you don't remember useful things. That's what mom
Yeah,
says.
you can't remember New Girl, but you can remember that
When
stuff.
the
Got
new
it.
girl is there's so many... Okay, we're getting off topic.
So qualifying was freaking amazing.
Leclerc.
And I want to say this because like I got a couple messages after this race that were like, "Oh, you must be so sad because Verstappen wasn't on pole." I literally don't care. I really don't care. I really just like to see good racing. It doesn't matter to me who's on pole. It's just I like to see what we saw during this race, and during this quali. So no, I wasn't sad that Leclerc was on pole, and yes, I just gave that away. But it was really nice to see the return of the Ferraris. So actually, let's start from the bottom of the grid. I mean, there was no surprise that like Latifi, Stroll,
Ricciardo, man, damn, the struggle is so real.
the McLarens are really struggling this season.
Hulkenberg, Sonoda.
Well, yeah, Hulkenberg
struggling.
came in for Vettel because he is the Rona.
Yeah, so Alpha, that's no surprise. Albon,
Zoe made it into Q2 though. Or
yeah, he's 15. Yeah, he made it out of Q1. Albon in the bottom. Norris again.
Albon made it into Q2 though. That was a big deal for him being in the Williams.
Albon?
That's his first time back in the Williams, and he made it Q2. That's a huge deal.
That's
Williams is not doing bad.
Yeah, they're doing all right.
If Latifi can just keep it together.
Yeah, they're doing all right. We'll see how they do the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And then Norris in 13th. This is a bit of a fall from grace for McLaren. It seems. We'll see how they do in the rest of the season, but not a good turnout for Norris there.
But contrarily, Mick in 12.
Yeah, Mick beat him, which is nuts.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what they do. Ocon in 11th, Gasly in 10th. Doesn't, not a huge shocker. Gasly's a very talented driver, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would love to see him do better.
Yeah.
Russell in 9th.
That was kind of a sadness because it's like you came from Williams to a Mercedes and yet you're still not in the top 5.
Yeah. Alonso in 8th with Alpine. Ya boy, K-Mag in 7th. Kevin Magnussen in a Haas.
Do you remember what Gunter said? I can't
The Haas's are dangerous. Yeah, I did hear what Gunter said. I saw that. We didn't even talk about that, but I saw that. I don't even know if we could say that on this podcast. And then your boy Bottas
on
qualifying
Hamilton's
6th.
butt, which I think is great. I was so happy for Bottas.
Good for Bottas, man.
He came out strong in a new team. And that's okay. So let's just talk about that for a quick second.
Hold up. Let's just finish off the whole thing, and then we'll get back to Bottas. Hamilton ahead of him. Which is kind of expected with, I guess, the struggling Mercedes. And then Perez, Sainz, Verstappen, and Leclerc. So we went up the whole list there, as we expected. So the Ferraris and the Red Bulls seem to be the front runners here, who are probably going to be battling. For constructors, it looks like, unless Mercedes can get their stuff together, I'd love to see Haas up there too. So... yeah, where do you want to start? Bottas.
I mean, it's not even starting. It's just like a quip. It takes so much when you switch to a new team. You got to remember, a lot of people come in from Formula 2 to Formula 1. Yuki came in, or Zhao came in, or, Albon came back to a new team. You got to give some of these guys credits who go from one team to another.
Yeah.
And they do well. Vettel did not do the greatest when he switched over to... Aston Martin, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Compared to when he was at Ferrari. But Bottas put Alfa Romeo in 6th for quality.
Yeah.
I just have to say, that's a big deal to me, at least.
Yeah.
To be able to take a new car.
That's a big deal for him.
Yeah. To take a new car that you've not driven ever.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people, especially Mercedes, they can lean on the fact that they can just say, oh, you're in a Mercedes, that's why you're so quick.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big reason why Bottas needed to go, because, he's in the shadow of a giant in Lewis Hamilton, so I think he needed to go to another team to just kind of make a name for himself there. So I'm excited for the guy. I want to see what he can do.
Yeah.
And where he makes it. And same kind of thing with Kevin Magnussen, man.
Yes.
Haas, I'm really I'm hyped to see how they do over the course of the season.
I'm so excited that Kevin Magnussen's back. I really liked him as a driver.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that time away really helped him. And I think it's crazy
Yeah.
how he literally came back after practice right before the race
Yeah.
and put them on
Absolutely
7th.
destroyed.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
In quali, at least.
So, yeah, everything's looking interesting. Let's get into the race. You want to talk about the race?
Yeah.
Let's get into the race, man. Wow. What a crazy race. What a turn of events. What a result by all the drivers here. So, first of all, let's let's go into just the obvious stuff. So,
Honda engines failed.
yeah, Honda engines. Hey, dude, what's wrong with your engine?
Something happened to you guys.
Jeez.
And they said it had to do with, like, I mean, it's new tracks, it's new cars, it's new everything. But, like, you just saw a bunch of Hondas just drop out all at the same time.
So your boy Yuki Tsunoda, did he even make it to the thing?
Yeah, Yuki made it to this one.
Yeah, he did, right?
Yeah, Yuki made it. Tsunoda made it to 8th place.
Yeah. So Yuki is there. Pierre Gasly's car caught on goddamn fire.
Oh, no.
This guy pulls over, his car's on fire, his engine is just like on fire. So Pierre Gasly's out. Something, I didn't even read what comprehensively happened to his car, but it was some kind of, his engine just shut off.
His engine shut off, and then he just caught on fire.
Next thing you know, it's on fire.
Which prompted like a virtual safety car.
Yeah. So, and then we go to Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen was having all sorts of problems. He was having steering issues. He was complaining about his battery power not working.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I mean, and he was whining quite a bit on the radio.
Yeah.
Like, also, relax, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
he needed to chill.
Yeah.
I heard him whining a lot.
yeah, it was a lot of crying.
Didn't Christian come on and be like, all right, mate, just like calm down. Put your head down.
Yeah, he's like, let us do what we do and you do what you do. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, it's the first race of the season. There's bound to be kinks, but, you know, I can understand. You know, it's really important for the guy to get points. He wants to, you know, get the championship again. So eventually he was called in to box
3
and retire,
laps before the end of the race.
which was absolutely heartbreaking for him because they wanted those points really badly.
Dude, he was doing well. He was in P2.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he like lost power, or like his steering started going, and then he got passed by Sainz, and he got passed by Hamilton.
Yeah, it was just over. He just slowed right down.
So it's like you see Pierre, and then you see Verstappen, and then all of a sudden, I'm like yelling at the TV because I think Perez like spins out. Homeboy lost power too.
His
like
engine cut off straight up.
Yeah, it just straight up
Yeah.
gone.
Yep.
So Hamilton obviously pounced on that. Hamilton was talking about minimizing damage because he started quali so far back from, you know, his usual, and he was able to make it into P3, which is like podium crazy to me.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, I think you can't ever.
I mean, he's very lucky that the engines, the Honda engines, the Red Bull engines, I should say, failed.
Yeah.
But that was just like, I just, yeah, that was heartbreaking. Very lucky for the Mercedes that they bounced back there and were able to grab those points.
He was so close. He was lap 57.
Yeah.
Perez literally was in the point. It's so heartbreaking to me. Red Bull got 0 points.
I feel so bad. So both of them DNF'd as well as Gasly, which sucked. But, you know, as expected, Ferrari power, they're doing
amazing.
pretty well. Leclerc pulls off the win, also gets the fastest lap.
Yeah.
So he gets the extra point up there. Sainz in second. Hamilton in third. Russell in fourth. Your boy, Kevin Magnussen, finishing in fifth. Are
Getting
you
10
kidding
points.
me?
That's like more points than they had like the last 3 years.
Holy God. Haas, like, man, if they can perform this year, that's going to be absolutely
Poor
insane.
Mick.
I cannot wait.
He just got out of the points. Mick was in 11.
Oh, man.
But Zhao got his first point in 10th as well, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then you had you had Ocon, Tsunoda, Alonso, Zhao.
I like how you just casually stroll over Bottas,
did I not say Bottas?
who finished sixth. That's a huge result
huge deal.
for him as well. 6 for
Both
Bottas.
Alfa Romeos finished in the points.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I think this is a big thing with like these new regulations that they put into place. I think they're working.
Yeah.
To be totally honest. And even, we saw even the battle between Leclerc and Verstappen. Oh my God, that was amazing.
What do you mean the battle? You mean the battles?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the
So
back and
much.
forth until Verstappen eventually had to retire the car. But
And he like locked up.
it seems like following is much easier, and the DRS is very powerful on these cars.
Yeah.
So, it's leading to some fantastic racing, it looks like. And I hope we see more of it.
I think we will. I
the
really
rest
do
of the
think we will.
season.
It should be an interesting. I mean, it was like such a good place for like Ferrari to come back, which was so nice to see because they
Yeah.
haven't. There's been a lot of like controversy and speculation and all that such, and then they had really terrible seasons, and then of course they outed Vettel. I feel like this year they finally got the juice together, and I think it's good for Ferrari fans because they have been super sad. I can't wait for them to go to Italy. Excuse me. And then, yeah, so next up we should have Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia is the next race.
Yep, which would be amazing.
Yeah. I'm
next
so excited
weekend.
that F1 is back.
Oh my God. I'm always sad when there's like an off weekend, like between like Saudi
know.
Arabia and Australia.
But I think they have like a ton of races on the calendar this year.
23, right? 22 or 23?
Isn't it the most?
I don't know about that.
I thought it said it was the most races on
Definitely
the
a lot of
calendar.
races coming up though, which is going to be interesting. Hopefully they'll
Yeah.
keep adding more. Can't wait to see how Red Bull bounces back. Hopefully they do. And
Formula One is back.
we back.
I'm excited to see. I honestly want to see Haas do well this season. They're my dark horse for this season.
Yeah.
I want to see them do really well. That would be amazing. Imagine Haas getting podiums.
That'd be sick.
That would change everything for that team if they could start performing. And they need it. Poor Gunter. I feel so bad for the guy.
That guy's gotten so much shit in the last couple of years.
He needs it so bad.
Yeah. They were up against Renault, right? Like a few years ago.
Yeah, a bunch of years ago, I think back when they were around, like, you remember that Rich Energy sponsorship and everything?
Oh, yeah, that was...
They were performing. The livery, when they
Yeah.
had that sponsorship, though, looked so sick.
It was really nice.
That was my favorite livery on
They
the
lost that real fast.
on the grid that year. But
I was actually surprised. I was like, are we just going to see a white car this year? Like,
no, man.
it's just such a mess. But I'm glad they got the funding. I'm glad they got
The
what
black
they needed.
and gold, they should go back to that. That
Yeah, it
looks
was pretty
so
sick.
ill.
I really hope McLaren bounces back, but I don't have high hopes. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel a little bad for Lando. He just signed like a multi-year contract, and he just like...
I really hope that maybe Haas gets some American sponsorship.
That'd be sick.
That would be super dope, man, if they could get some sick American
They're-
dish. Yo, imagine if they got sponsored by SpaceX or something.
That'd be sick.
That'd be so ill.
It's also like they're already off better than
Make
they
it happen,
were
Elon.
last year. Like 10 points in the championship.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they already are going to get more money at the end of the year
Yeah.
than like they were going to previously.
Magnussen just has to keep pulling it out, and hopefully Mick can get up there too.
Yeah.
And we should.
I actually do have a lot of faith in Mick this year.
Yeah, he's a sophomore now, right? He was a rookie.
Yeah.
It's his second year in. Hopefully he can start putting it together.
I
there's a lot of pressure on him given his family name, and
I think it's good for him to have. I really do think Haas messed up by having 2 junior drivers. I really don't think that was a good idea.
Probably not.
But I really think it's great that Mick would have Kevin to look up to.
yeah.
I really do. I think that's going to be an
I
interesting
wonder
one.
if Kevin stays long term. Why wouldn't they? The guy's scoring for them.
Dude,
Keep
they
him on.
should. If they don't, they're digging their own grave.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
They're digging their own grave if they don't.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you think? Anything else? You
I
got
think
anything
that's
else to
it.
add, my friend?
Those are my notes.
Oh man. I'm excited for this season.
It's going to be lit.
Should be amazing. All right, guys. So that's that. We kind of blasted through it for this one.
We'll see you guys next time in Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia.
man. So make sure you guys subscribe, as always, on Spotify, YouTube, and follow us on Instagram. We mentioned before we're going to be doing pretty much strictly audio from here on out, but I like it. It's nice. It's a little more chill. can just chill on our couch in our PJs,
Yep.
record the podcast.
Milo can sit here and just.
Milo can sit with us. He used to get really antsy when we did video before. I think the lights and stuff really just like, he was like, whoa, what's happening?
I don't know. I also think he was just like a puppy back then.
Yeah.
He was a very chill.
Maybe he's chilled out a little bit.
Maybe we'll bring him back like midway for like Monaco or something like that. Show you guys our dog.
Yeah.
On our new house. Cribs version.
Oh yeah, the new place.
But thanks for listening.
Thank you guys for listening. Feel free to send us any messages, DMs on Instagram if you want to chat about anything race related or anything like that. And catch you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.